So hi all, good morning. So today in this video, I'll be teaching you how to set up an ingress for a GKE service. I'm not going to deal much regarding the basics regarding what is ingress. I'll be totally focusing on the hands-on part. So I'll just give you a quick intro alone. So obviously people know that ingress is actually a set of rules. It is used to expose the external HTTP traffic, HTTPS traffic. So it is similar like node port and the load balancer. But what is the advantage we have here in Ingress is like, if you take a load balancer, obviously for one service, you can have only one IP address. So for another service, you need to have another IP address, which then if you imagine you are having hundreds of services. So obviously the IP will also be more, right? So literally it will be costly. So this can be prevented using Ingress. That is like within a single IP address, you can actually route all the microservices. So making it cost efficient. So let's directly move into the hands-on part. So here we are going to use an nginx web service as an example, and I'll be also helping you with the default troubleshootings, whatever people will experience as a beginner. That also will be seeing on in this lecture. So let's directly go inside the topic. Okay, so I have made all the prerequisites ready enough. So here I want to tell you one thing. Usually for Kubernetes, when we want to set up Ingress, we will be installing the Ingress controller. Like if you want, you can install the nginx Ingress controller like that. But for GKE, Google already have its own default Ingress controller, so we need not install anything. So you can see here, I already made the YAML files ready to deploy the services. So let's see what is inside this nginx.yaml. So you can see here we have the deployment, and here for the first deployment, I have the suffix 1 everywhere. And the container which I'm going to run as a service is like nginx alpine. Similar for deployment 2 also, we are having nginx alpine, and deployment 3 also, we are having nginx alpine. Just the label, we are actually having it according to the suffix. Similar way, we created service for that. So the service which we are creating cluster IPs. That's why I didn't mention the type of service. So by default, it will take the cluster IP. So I have matched the required labels for those services. So for a similar way, the suffix is LB1, LB2, and LB3. There is no much to explain regarding this. I'm exposing it in the port 80. So let's run the service. kubectl apply -f nginx.yaml. Yeah, so you could see here the deployment and services are created. So we can also check it over here. Yeah, you can see nginx LB1, LB2, LB3, all the three is actually created successfully, and we got the cluster IP. We don't get an external IP because we are running it as a cluster IP, right? That's why. Now, let's try to set up the ingress for that. So I'll just show you the ingress.yaml file, whatever I have written over here. It's a bit simple. So the name of my ingress is basic ingress, and I'm routing the respective service names here, and I'm mentioning in which path of the IP the service should run. So slash means home, right? In home, my first service will run. In my second, in this path after home, nginx2, my second service LB2 will run, and in similar way in nginx3, LB3 will run. So I can set the ingress now. Same way, kubectl apply -f ingress.yaml. Okay, now we can check it over here. Sorry, kubectl get ingress. Okay, the address will take some time because you can see it in the description. It will take some time to sync. Kubectl describe ingress basic ingress. If you go inside the details, you can see it is just scheduled. So it will take some time to provide the address. But you can see the path logics here. You can see the home. In home, you will be having the first service. In nginx 2, you'll be having the second service. In third, and third service has been provided. So let's wait some time. All right, now you could see that the scheduling is done, sync is done, and we got the IP. So let's test it out. Initially, you'll get this 404 error because the page would be loading. So you could refresh it 2 to 3 times. All right, it took me some time to actually get inside the server. So it took some time to load actually. So now let's check the other also. So as expected, the home page is actually been set up. Now the second also we need to check, right? nginx1, nginx was 2, but you can see a 404 error, and nginx3. These two are not working. But if you see the home page, you can see the nginx is actually working there. The reason why is because I'll show you a workaround also for this. First, you can check the ports. kubectl get ports. Now let's go and say this is the second one, right? nginx 2. So kubectl logs -f. If you go inside the logs, you can see oops, sorry. Now I'll hit the nginx 2 now. /nginx 2. Now you get some request here. You can see that the routing is done properly. Here you got the routing, but what is happening here is by default the nginx server will use the open function in this particular path till HTML. Inside this HTML, actually you'll have an index.html. That is the default HTML which nginx has provided to make us understand whether the server is working or not. So when we added a routing path, it will overlap along with the default path. So this path is actually not inside the container, right? So inside this container, obviously this path is not there. So there will be no index.html inside that path. So literally you get a 404 error. That is what you can see here. No such file or directory. We don't have that file. Now, this is what we are going to troubleshoot now, and we are going to fix it. Now let's again go inside the kubectl get ports. Now I'm going to go inside this container kubectl execute -it and the pod name. Sorry. kubectl execute -it and the pod name. And the command is /bin/sh. So now we are inside this container. Now we'll go inside the particular path, usr HTML. Now you see here, there is an index. This is what actually will trigger it. You can see here. See, this is the HTML page, which is actually used to test. Now I will show you how we can actually route our microservice for nginx 2 on that particular path. So we need to create nginx 2. And then I'm going to create one index.html here. I actually wanted to make it a bit good enough. So I am going to use my own HTML. So vi index.html. Oops, sorry, I didn't go inside it. Now index.html. Now we'll paste our HTML page inside it. Now, when you route it to the nginx2, you see the HTML page which I added has actually come here. Welcome to my second page. This is second page. Why should we stop with the second, this nginx2 alone? For the 3 and the home page also, I will be now going to add my own HTML page. Let's do it. Now, actually, first I need to get the ports. Actually, there is some internet error. Now here, I'll first change the third one. kubectl execute -it. Okay, something happened. Let me refresh it. kubectl get ports. No, sorry. kubectl execute -it, and we will add this third one hyphen. Sorry, I think there is a problem with the terminal which they have given here. Execute -it hyphen /bin. Oh, excuse me a minute. kubectl execute -it. I'll copy it again. I think /bin/sh. All right. It would be better when we can clone this to we can use this Google CLI and we can connect it to our local workspace and we can do it. That would be a most preferable one. Now, same way, cd user share nginx HTML, and I'm going to create a nginx3 pi. Sorry, we need to go inside it. I created it, right? Oh, sorry, I created a nginx nkdir nginx3, and we'll go inside it. vi index.html. Okay, now I'll be adding my own HTML page which I have created earlier. Okay, now if you go and give in that server as nginx3, you will get my third page. Why should we stop with this? We can edit the first page also. Again, we need to go inside the first container. I'm not sure whether the terminal will support me. Let's see. kubectl execute -it. All right. Okay, now we can go into the same page. Okay, now we will override. This is the home page. So we will override the okay. We will override the existing page itself. Now we will use my another set of index.html page. So I will paste it here. Now, if you see my home pages, I think it didn't change. Let me check it out. Yeah, it changed. It took some time. Okay, now let's exit to it and we'll have a summary. kubectl get ingress. So this is your address. So this IP is actually been added for 3 microservices. For this web page and inside this for another web page and one more web page. So you can see here we are using a single IP and we have reduced the cost. So this is the advantage of Ingress. So now I guess you people understood like how we could use the Ingress and what is the actual meaning of running an Ingress, because many people will actually have seen that like they would use a Flask application and they would have routed to three different places and they would check that it would not be working. So there also actually you need to understand how where the actually the app is actually getting run, and you need to actually go to that home directory and you need to understand that function. You need to route that particular application. The application should actually run that part. You can check the routing by going inside the logs. So once the routing is done perfectly and if the application is microservices actually existing there, surely your ingress will work. Like how we debug this nginx. So hope this lecture was useful. I know that it's a bit clumsy because I took it in a single shot, but I guess it was informative. See you in the next video. If you have any suggestions regarding any other topics, you could put it in the comment section. Thank you so much.